Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. Yesterday was a good day for the Bank Nifty. The Nifty, though, was facing some resistance at 11,500. Ashwani Gujral, Prakash Gaba and Rahul Mohindar now join us for trades this morning. Good morning. Ashwani, what's the trade this morning? Yesterday, you felt that 11,500 was rejected. You reckon that's could be the stop loss for short trade, or you won't try a short?
Well, good morning, and I like anti-climaxes in my life. So if State Bank can, kind of be less than expected, and Bank Nifty can come off 100, 150, that's my ideal situation to go in and buy. I mean, even if you open higher, even if you get to 11,500, the opportunity isn't really there. So what you want is basically some kind of a decline for some sort of reason, and then you will get a 250, 300 point move. Otherwise, it's anybody's game. You buy in the morning, and if you get a push, you get the push. But your risk is basically 150, 200 on the downside. So that way, I don't think professional traders should be getting into the market. Yes, uptrend is there, etc., etc. But chances are a lot of people are long, and you want some of them to get out before you can get in.
What about Nifty Bank, Ashwani? Sorry, good morning to you. But will it run out of steam? Will it wait and watch now?
Well, Lata, if I knew all of this, I wouldn't be here.
So how will you trade it?
What I know is, if some sort of disappointment comes in, see, everybody is expecting the moon from corporate lenders now. I don't think there is much left to imagination. But if it can disappoint in the sense that elevated expectations are not met, and there is profit booking of 100, 150 points, that is the point where fresh trading on Bank Nifty should be done. Okay. Till then, people who have it with them can keep stops of about 28, 200, 250. On the Nifty, 11,450 is your trailing stop. But intraday, I don't think you need to buy at 11,500.
Okay, no need to buy intraday. Some of that has already played out. We've seen it in the rallies lately. Prakash Gaba and Raul Mohindar are also with us. Gentlemen, morning to both of you. Prakash, how does Friday look to you? Are you going to trade it on the long side after the good moves that we've seen so far?
Good morning to you, Sonia. Well, technically the trend is still intact. We had a logical technical target of 11,503, and yesterday we saw a high at 11,495. To my mind, the target is nearly achieved, but the trend is still intact. What we have seen in this campaign is the 6 days of an up move with two gaps, too stretched on the upside. On a Friday, can it go higher? Of course it can go higher. If it closes above 11,503, then maybe we are going to levels closer to 11,661 next week. So it is stretched, it needs unstretching. How much of unstretching? I think maybe around 70 points or so is a very good place. If it dips around 70 points on Nifty, perhaps that would be a buying opportunity on Nifty. So far, I would say that stay stock specific. When I look at the Bank Nifty, even Bank Nifty has seen good 6 days of an up move. So it is stretched as well, and I would say that Bank Nifty has a strong support in the vicinity of 28,200. If it comes to there, perhaps there could be buying opportunity. On the upside, 28,400, 28,530 are stiff resistance zones.
Okay, well, that's a great warning. And with that, let's move to Rahul Mohindar. Good morning, Rahul. How are you trading the Nifty and the Nifty Bank today?
Morning, Lata. I think I kind of agree there that 11,500, 11,505, very key resistance area for shorter term traders. I think once we steer clear of it, that's when we see the next pop up. But clearly, I am a little bent towards the Bank Nifty. 29,100 would be my near term target on it. So I still think it's good for another 600 to 700 points. I would probably extend that if I had more time and not just looked at the market short term. I clearly think the Bank Nifty is the one that's going to outperform. You're starting to see a lot of the small PSU banks also come in and participate in the rally, which is encouraging. We still think there's steam in some of the heavyweights like an ICICI Bank, or for that matter an SBI. It may be trading moves, it may be a feeling that people are getting in late at these levels, but from a bank Nifty perspective, I'm clearly on the buy side. Even at current levels, I would be comfortable trading for 29,100 for the near term.
Okay, with that, let's discuss individual stocks. Ashwani, what's on your list?
See, PFC is a buy with a stop of 85, target of 92. IGL is a buy with a stop of 298, target of 315. Ultratech is a buy with a stop of 4290, target of 4400. L&T Finance is a buy with a stop of 176, target of 190. And Bank of India is a buy with a stop of 96, target of 106.
Okay, that's a whole lot of factors. There are two NBFCs, cement, gas. Okay, let me come to Prakash. What are you trading, Prakash?
I'll go with Ashok Leyland. That looks like a good buy. Yesterday we had seen good buying out here. Can climb to levels closer to 135 zones. I would have a stop below 126 and trade long on Ashok Leyland. I also like Vedanta. That looks good. Seen some kind of a bottoming out pattern. Can see a climb to around 240 zones. Stop below 225. Power Grid is another stock that looks good to me. Target on the upside is 197. Stop below 190. I have a sell, a solitary one is CESC, more of a breakdown structure and exhaustion out here. Can see a slide to around 900 zones, stop above 928.
Okay, so that's a solitary sell on CESC. Rahul Mohindar is also with us. Rahul, what stocks are you looking at this morning?
I think I'll start with IGL. Here too I'm a buyer, 290 being a stop loss. I'd look at targets of 325. This is not necessarily an intraday call. I like the fact it's bounced up from key support levels of 290. The 200-day average is also around that. So look at this slightly more medium termish. I think it's a good stock to be in, even from a long term. Yes Bank would be my second buy. The stock's been consolidating. I think I would look at 403 as a reasonable near-term target. Those looking at the medium term, I wouldn't be surprised if we move to 430 to 440 on it. I'd keep a stop loss below 370 when I buy Yes Bank. Finally, I'd look at selling L&T. This is a stock which has been weak. I still think there are newer levels to come in. On the downside, I'd look at 1265 as my first short-term target, breaking which 1235 could be expected. I'd sell the stock with a stop loss of 1297.
The stock of the morning quite clearly is Jet Airways, after the company post-market hours yesterday said it is deferring the announcement of its June quarter numbers to an unspecified date. Kapil Kaul, CEO India subcontinent of the Centre for Asia Pacific Aviation, joins us on the phone line. Kapil, good morning to you. Well, first up, as an investor, you wonder why would the auditors want to, resign, the audit committee not want to pass the accounts. One can understand losses, but if the audit committee is not signing off, then it is not losses. It is just that they are not able to agree with some of the numbers at all. So are you smelling something more than just financial weakness?
To be frank with you, financial weakness and the fact that they may have losses in Q1 is almost certain. What led to the auditors not signing is something that I don't want to speculate at this point of time. But clearly, I think the fact that the financial losses in Q1, as has been indicated by the chairman of Jet Airways in the AGM, that's a given. The question is the quantum of losses. If there's anything more, to be frank with you, I don't want to speculate, but we will get to know as to what are the reasons for the auditors not qualifying the financial statements. So one has to wait and watch on that.
Kapil, hi, good morning. All of this is known, right? The fact that their losses are sort of accelerating. The management in their own admission last quarter around said that things are going to get worse, yields are going to fall further. But what do you think is the need of the hour now in order to repair their balance sheet and their earnings? What do they urgently need to do?
Well, first of all, I don't think anyone should expect, quick wins. It's going to be a long haul, and long haul would mean maybe a couple of years for really it to get back to a very sustainable business case. I would first just, in terms of key areas where they need to focus on is first recapitalization. I think no restructuring, whatever restructuring efforts they do, without recapitalization, it will not make any sense. It's undercapitalized, and so I think recapitalization is significant. Although obviously apart from recapitalization, they need to get the strategic investor or financial investor to guarantee the refinancing of about 400 million. So that's the two steps that I think are critical. Secondly, I think they have neglected their domestic. So the second part, I will focus on restructuring, which means to further get their domestic business in shape. International business is much better than the domestic. The weaknesses in international largely because of the weaknesses in the Middle East market, both in volumes as well as yields. But on the domestic has been a key concern. So they have neglected domestic for a while, and it's reached a market share which will further erode and possibly get under 10, which possibly will be from that point of time to get back to relevance in the domestic would be very tough. So I think the recapitalization is central. They need to fully fund the restructuring plan, whatever they're planning, and then recapitalization is critical. Obviously, restructuring, getting your domestic business, which has uncompetitive costs, and bringing it back to relevance is critical. And obviously, they need to further streamline. Possibly they're top heavy. There's a lot of measures that the airline can do, which they have been trying to do, but mostly it's about recapitalizing and significant recapitalization, along with the restructuring measures. And I would think that the investors need to be looking at, it's not going to be happening overnight. The market dynamics are changing, so that brings its own challenges. So I think it's going to be a long haul. We're looking at about a couple of years down the line to create a sustainable reversal of the current situation.
Okay. Kapil, two very quick questions. One, will there be a strategic partner now since Etihad is already there? So are there options at all in terms of strategic partner, or will it have to be only a financial partner? And secondly, is this only a jet problem? All airlines in India seem to be doing terribly.
Well, I think in the case of Jet Airways, I think there has been a legacy issue. It started with the acquisition of Jetlight, and from there they had very frequent strategy changes. So there is a legacy issue for Jet. But yes, I think the business is going through both cost and revenue challenges across industry. If you have a market leader whose profits fall 97% and has an EBITDA loss for the quarter, that signifies that the extent of challenges in the market. But I'm not so worried about the cost part. Obviously, costs are critical, still range bound 75, 80 as the fuel is concerned. Rupee, I think they have dealt with a much higher rupee before. It's the capacity inductions that are challenging them, which has reduced the market power to price appropriately. So I think it's a combination of cost and revenue and the capacity impact in the domestic, which is significant and aggressive, which is impacting the yields to a level where the pricing power is lost. In the case of Jet, the fact that they have a tremendous inventory in Middle East, both volume as well as the yields are a challenge there. So I think it's not that it can't be repaired or restructured, but there are quick measures to be taken. I would think that
Sure. No, so you don't see Jet going the Kingfisher Airlines way, right?
I think, to be frank with you, I have a lot of confidence in the promoter. If I have to single out anything that will save Jet Airways from the current situation, is the ability of the Jet promoter to bring in capital as and when is required. But I must say that this time it's much tougher than last time when they got Etihad on board. And getting in a strategic investor would be complex, but not impossible. I would think a financial investor would be challenging given the kind of losses they are having.
Okay, that's a fair point. We'll wait and see. Kapil, we will do a more detailed discussion later on in the day. At the moment, we are trying to pack in as much as possible in terms of stocks that the market is interested in. Thank you very much for making this, taking this unscheduled call with us. Okay, with that, let's invite Sandeep Shenoy of Pioneer Investment Corp. Good morning, Sandeep. Thank you very much. Well, first up, Jet, it's out of F&O ban now. What happens? Do you think that, as Sonia asked, the pertinent question people would ask is it going the Kingfisher way?
Well, I think as the previous guest announced, the only difference here is you have got a very pugnacious and combative promoter who is not going to go down in a hurry. And I think his alignment or commitment to the company is also unquestionable. Something or the other will happen because this brand has got a kind of a fierce loyalty in a certain segment of people, despite LCCs making their mark in India. But there's a bigger challenge, Lata. I think $75 and 70 rupees INR USD. I think it's going to be a double whammy for the entire industry. Yes, and when you are headed towards a season which is not exactly a peak season, you could have some challenging or maybe pressures on both revenue and balance sheet front. But I think there are only 3 players right now who are worthwhile, and all 3 of them have real strong combative promoters. So I guess something or the other will emerge, but it's going to be a challenging time for all the players right now.
Okay, what Lata actually wanted to ask you was, should I use up all my jet miles before Jet Airways goes bust? Because that, is the joke doing the rounds. But no, jokes apart, that stock is definitely going to be under pressure. Sandeep, good morning. The entire corporate lending space has really, come out of nowhere. I mean, all of these stocks are up 10-15% this week. The month has been great for some of these PSU bankers as well. Would you put incremental money to work here?
Well, I think, Sonia, a few days back, there was a big article in one of the pink papers saying that how banks are becoming narrow lending banks. Corporate lending seems to be now going off. So they're all becoming retail banks. So I guess you have seen some bounces coming up in PSU banks, and maybe some of the private sector banks which had some kind of question marks being raised a few months back. But does it address the fundamental issue of business scalability? Well, I don't think right now there are any answers on that. PSU banks, it's a bounce up, but I think it's more salon bounce up rather than anything else. Private sector banks, some of the private sector's bank which went through you can say turbulence, yes, they could be back onto their recovery path. But the sector itself, I think the previous leaders who were cornering a disproportionate amount of capital flow towards the sector, I don't think they're going to lose their status in a hurry. So it's going to be a top-heavy market in this sector, and it's going to continue that way.
Okay. Sandeep, good morning. Your thoughts on metals? You reckon a fresh rally has started? Because there was quite a bit of correction, but now you've started to see a fresh rally in names like Tata Steel.
Well, Anuj, I've been of the opinion it's not going to be an up cycle. It's going to be a spike in a cycle which could give some kind of jackpot earning in the next few months. It's going to be a short spike there. So I guess that's what is really playing out. You have some kind of a demand-supply imbalances which sometimes it's off right now, it's off then. So it's kind of giving you some kind of a situational advantage for Indian players, and that's what I think traders should play on. For an investor to come in and say that this is a beginning of a super cycle, I think it's too early.